What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a TwoPennyGames Spoilercast. This time, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend, co-host, and freshly rolling the credits of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Not less than 10 minutes ago. Probably less than that.
Connor,
still.
you done it. You
I
beat
did.
the game, finally. It's you and I. We're ready to talk spoilers. We're ready to talk about that ending. We're ready to talk about all things Final Fantasy VII. But first, I want to give you the opportunity. Now, when we did our review, you were but 20-ish, 30-ish hours into the game. I want to give you an opportunity now that you've beaten the game for sort of a quick final thoughts. Like, how do you feel now that you've fully beaten rolled credits of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Well, I would consider it a masterpiece. I think overall, I know you were expecting that, but and I was expecting it as well. It ended up occurring. You know, I knew going into it, particularly about the ending, that things were going to get wacky, and it did. Unlike Tavin, where he experienced the ending and immediately came away with somewhat negative thoughts. Changed over time, but still negative thoughts immediately after the course of the game. For me, it was not that. It made me very speculative. Not in specific ways, because I don't know what the fuck's really going on. Because it does go. This is one of those things that I won't be able to comment too in depth in the sense of knowing or understanding what's going on, because I just beat the damn game 10 minutes ago. But what I can say is the emotional response that it left with me, which is very similar to events that occurred during Final Fantasy VII, the original one. This is a spoiler cast, so obviously I'm talking about Aerith's death, which is the build-up that this entire game was leading to, as everyone kind of, expected it to be like back when Remake came out. When people realized the trajectory things were going on, they assumed it was going to end here at the certain point, and it did.
I'm gonna interject real quick and say, hey, this is a spoiler cast for all things Rebirth, but also just all things Final Fantasy VII.
It's all connected.
Crisis Core, Remake, OG game, Advent Children, all of it. Anything Final Fantasy VII that we want to talk about, we're going to talk about here. So, if the Remake trilogy is your first time experiencing these games, duck out now, because there are more surprises that come in the last half of this game that you have not seen yet. So either go play that game or or just wait until the third game and then come back to this video in 4 years. You said
spoiler cast at the beginning. They got it.
Yes, but I wanted to make sure that it's going to exceed past just Remake and Rebirth. It's going to go to the original game and all this.
Which is good to play the other ones.
Yeah. So,
like Dirge of Cerberus.
Connor, back to you, because you're fresh, hot off of
it.
Yeah. As you said, the ending is weird. It's wacky. I'll add on. I hold to my amazing rating for Rebirth. Rebirth has entered my top 10 favorite video games of all time, but your favorites don't need to be all 10 out of 10 masterpieces. You know what I'm saying? So I hold to my amazing. I still think the open world content is pretty lacking and pretty boring. And especially when compared to how great the storytelling is in this game. And I still think my opinion on the ending has changed. I like it much more than I did in the review. But I still think the quality of writing and storytelling takes a dive in that last part. So I still I have an interpretation of the ending. I have what I believe to be the trajectory in which we're going for the ending. And I like the ending in concept. In execution, however, I think it's lacking in a lot of ways. And we can get into some of that here in a few minutes. But I'm more interested to hear from you, Connor. What is currently your feelings on the ending? What is your current interpretation of the ending?
Well, Nomura, he's creative director in this game. He was the original creator of Final Fantasy VII. He's also well known for the Kingdom Hearts series, which has a reputation for being convoluted. This is somewhat convoluted. The issue, I think, with Nomura's writing is when you get into these very grand ideals, that Final Fantasy Rebirth deals in, it generally can become very confusing with how everything's explained, which is why I left the game and I'm still like, what's going on? I don't really know, which I expect to change with time, as these stories tend to make you want to do. They make you want to think. And that's how you really begin to develop your thoughts and opinions on these things. You, for example, Tavin, I know you watched a lot of analysis videos. Maximilian Dude specifically, a guy who's very well versed in Final Fantasy VII, very long time.
Maximilian Dude's great. I watched a couple other theory videos, and I kind of pulled the best parts of all of it. Let me tell you, there's some people out here on the internet drinking some Kool-Aid. They're drinking some Kool-Aid pretty heavily. But yeah, go ahead. How are you feeling right now?
Well, ultimately, I'll lead back to my original point of what people were waiting for with this game, which was the death of Aerith. This one, is she dead? Yeah, but no. That's kind of where it comes into play, because it introduces the concept of multiple worlds. Now,
a multiverse.
Multiverse, yes. The problem with calling it that is you generally have an idea of how that works. There have yet to be any hardline rules for what exactly that means. Even it doesn't even really tell you outright, and it kind of really just tells you from the perspective of Zack, who really knows what's going to happen? Who knows what this means? Who knows if this is the last time we'll meet or whatever? Which once again gets back to the point that Nomura's writing peeks through in some negative ways.
Damn it.
Oh no! But anyway. It's as you said, the execution isn't the best, though at the core of what's going on, it's investing, it's emotional, and that's kind of what needs to work with Final Fantasy VII being such a storied, game and being such a beloved game. Overall, there's also some other things that come into play. For example, like you walked out of the room and then you came back and you said you hate this part, which is the unveiling that a mysterious character, is also Sephiroth.
Glenn.
Yeah. But which kind of is overdone at this point of like, oh, the guy who's in the fucking robe is Sephiroth. Who would have known? And yeah, I mean, I am actually interested to see what they do going forward with that. But what the ending overall does, it just gives you a lot of pieces. It doesn't give you the whole picture. So it lets you speculate, but that's about it. I have to think on it more, but I remember there was a localization issue that occurred with Final Fantasy VII. You brought it up before during our private conversations. We're having a remake.
Remake, yeah.
Where at the very end of the game, the end cutscene of the game, Aerith says a comment about the sky. The sky's pretty important in Rebirth.
Yes.
And it, especially with the implications that it brings. And there's a final line that mirrors that at the end of Rebirth, which, given all of the extra context, which I still have to sift through in my mind, once again just adds on a lot of things that are beneath the surface, even if you don't quite understand them outright. So unfortunately, I wish I could get more into it, but it's hard to.
Okay.
Because
well, let me give you a couple of questions so that we can have some direction here. Let's start with the big one.
Breadcrumbs.
Aerith, what is the status of Aerith to you right now? Is she alive? Is she dead? Is it a force ghost? Whatever you could think of. What is the current status of Aerith right now to you?
It almost makes me think that I think that she's alive, but I don't, because my reasoning for that is, first of all, you see Cloud can see her, right? Red 13 can sense her, as he's kind of expected to be able to do so, being who he is as a character. I'm assuming everyone who's watching this up to this point knows at least that much. But in the original game, she dies, and you never see her again. In this one, she actually has a presence. So I think the idea that she's just gone with the live stream doesn't make sense, isn't true. That doesn't mean she's alive, but it doesn't mean that she's dead in the way that she was dead in Final Fantasy VII. Once again, you also have some cases where she's possibly in one of these alternate universes. The main one being the one that Zack is a part of. For those of you that have played Remake, you know what I'm maybe talking about. For those of you that played Rebirth, you certainly know what I'm talking about. Where it even teased her death pretty much near the beginning of the game. But she turned out to be alive. But once again, with how the ending is executed, it's still up in the air of whether she's still there. Because there is a translation over into this world that was established at the very beginning of the game, where the world's apparently ending. as you can tell, with a giant scar in the sky. Once again, going back to my point of the localization that was changed with Aerith saying something in the remake ending, and then the developers, when Rebirth was coming out, kind of having them change that due to the fact that it gave away plot details. I mean, I don't know how exactly.
I just think the localization team just didn't know
Yeah.
when Remake came out. And when they were working on Rebirth, they went, oh shit, that's what you literally meant. The sky is scaring. Because the line changes from, I miss it, the steel sky, which is a great line from
Yeah.
Aerith. That's what we originally got. And it changed to, I don't like it, the sky.
Mhm.
And so the localization team went, well, how can we make this make sense for Aerith's character, knowing what we know now? And then Rebirth happened, and they go, oh,
Mhm.
oh, we got to go back and fix that because Aerith is seeing this line in the sky as well.
Yes.
Now, what that spells, what that does, I don't know. So I'll say I was kind of with you with the status of Aerith. We're like, she's kind of dead, but she's also not. Everyone thinks she's dead except for Cloud. Cloud can see her. There is the Red 13 seems to be able to sense her and so forth. And all of that's really interesting. I was angered by that because it felt like they were trying to have the cake and eat it too. But it was when I did more digging and I watched a whole bunch. I looked around the internet. We were all piecing things together, and that's when I was like, "Oh, okay. I think I see what's going on here, and I think I'm with you." Another point: the black materia.
Yes.
Cloud has it. Now there's a bit of a discussion online. Some people feel like the empty materia, Cloud put it away, and then it transformed into the black materia in his hand, and then he pulled it out. That wasn't my interpretation because there's clearly like a clink sound of him dropping that and going, "The hell's this?" and finding it and picking it up on him. That one I think is a little bit more up to interpretation. I don't think that's so much of things changing from the original game. I think it's more of like, hey, let's find a better way to explain how we get the black materia to the northern crater to give it to Sephiroth.
Yeah, and you know, the whole bit of Aerith giving him the empty white materia is emblematic of her role in trying to alter the outcome of the entire events of what Final Fantasy has become. The black materia being Sephiroth's intent on doing something, due to the fact that in the after his final boss fight, he admits defeat in that time because he underestimates him, as he says, but he's still cocky and confident, as Sephiroth tends to be, and this is probably because he has that contingency plan of having the black materia in Cloud's possession.
And now I want to get into my current interpretation of the ending. Connor, I'm going to walk you through this step by step as best as I can, kind of on the fly because it's a podcast medium. So we're going to be figuring it out. So I'm going to pull up some stuff here. But I'm going to start with, I think this entire game is clearly about, obviously building up characters. There's not a lot of plot in this game, but there's a lot of heart in the game.
There is tons of heart.
I think they are using that as their opportunity, storytelling-wise, to form Cloud as an actual character. And you see it in glimpses of this game where Cloud kind of breaks free from his confusion with the Zack stuff that we already know about, the Sephiroth influences through the Genova cells, and just his general memory fuckery that's going on. He breaks free of it a lot in this game, and he shows you his real character. There's real bonds in this game. The obvious high point being the Golden Saucer date, where it's like, Cloud never showed that much. On the Golden Saucer date, I don't even think he really says that much in the original game. In this one, he's got dialogue, and he makes choices. So Cloud is becoming a character in this game, and we love and fall in love with that character, and then we have it stripped away from us. And that's why the final act of this game hurts so much. It hurts to see Sephiroth take control. It hurts to see Cloud say, "Are you finished yet? Let's move on. Like, we got somewhere to be."
They
like,
do
damn it,
the typical nice, I'm going to amp everybody's spirits up and get them the perseverance to push through, and then have them just crush her.
I think, I think there are specific characters who have specific narrative roles in this game. The main four being obviously Sephiroth, Aerith, and then Cloud and Tifa. I think Tifa has become a key component in how we are going to tell this story from here on. For example, she falls into the Mako reactor and has her whole trip with the weapons, and clearly has taken center stage. She has been affected in some way. She doesn't quite understand or know what's going to happen, but she knows she needs to be there for Cloud.
And an interesting point on that, she's obviously, to reiterate for someone that may have forgotten for whatever reason, seeing White Whispers and Black Whispers, black ones being owned by Sephiroth, dueling it out against one another. You know,
White Whispers, it's not clear if it's the planet or if it's Aerith, but it's one of the two.
Well, that's the thing. It can't be Aerith, because when you and the party see them, Aerith is surprised. She doesn't act like that's a thing that she's been seeing the entire time.
Yes, but there's details hidden in this that I think change things. And this is where we're going to get weird and dip into the multiverse stuff here. So, Aerith, at the end of Remake, her and Red 13 both seem to know more than they should.
Yeah.
At the end of Remake. They are talking
Aerith
about...
more so.
Aerith more so. She's talking, she's pointing at Sephiroth and going, this is wrong. This isn't how things are supposed to be, all that. She then continues and is driving the party to break free of the wheels of fate, or the chains of fate. But as soon as they do, that version of Aerith seems to go away, and we are left with the normal Aerith that we are used to. What I think happens is there is, I'll call her ultimate Aerith, right? There seems to be an ultimate Aerith, just like how Sephiroth seems to be in his ultimate form, in that he knows everything that's going on. There is an ultimate Aerith that is running around in the multiverse and hopping from Aerith to Aerith in order to find a way to thwart Sephiroth's plans. And this is my evidence to this is the scene you have with Aerith when you go on the date in the other universe, where they wake up in her house and they go on their little like weird date thing there. That is clearly ultimate Aerith, right? It's the Aerith who knows everything. It's the Aerith who has a plan. What does that Aerith do? All game, our Aerith, we'll call her primary Aerith, has been carrying around the materia that was holy, but it's empty now. The characters fighting and choosing to break free from fate and defeating the Arbiter of Fate has drained the materia wholly. So holy is empty. The memories that were used to craft that materia have been depleted. So now we are left with a useless ball. And it's also, by the end of the game, it's also a metaphor for Cloud being an empty shell. Yada yada. So what does Aerith do? She gets Cloud to hop universes with her, and gives him a full version of Holy, so that when she returns him to his universe, they can swap it. And that's exactly what happens. And you'll notice, right as she does that, Sephiroth enters the room. That's prime Sephiroth who enters the room. That's the one who knows exactly what's going on. So my interpretation of that is Sephiroth is hopping from universe to universe, trying to find and kill every version of Aerith he can, because he knows that's the one loophole in his plan. And she's been hiding in a universe where everyone has accepted their fate already. So these are a bunch of dead people walking. So it just led him to go, oh, that's where you are. And as soon as Cloud returns to his universe, what does Sephiroth say? I pointed it out to you when it happened. I said that detail's important. You know the scene I'm talking about where he falls, flips, and lands in the forest?
Yeah.
He says, and I'm pretty sure I can quote this directly from memory. He says, that doesn't belong here.
That's what he does. Yeah.
That's poor form.
Like their game. It's Sephiroth and Aerith's game that they've always played.
Aerith is cheating. Sephiroth didn't know you could do that. Aerith is cheating. Which is why when Aerith returns to Cloud in at the edge of creation / in the multiverse space when it goes all white. I'm not sure if that's like multiverse space or if we have transferred to Cloud's head and it's visions of Cloud and Sephiroth, or Aerith and Sephiroth fighting over Cloud. You'll also notice in that scene, you didn't do it too much because you were so focused on Cloud, but Aerith is overpowered in that scene.
Oh, really?
Her moves do more damage than they should. And so when she enters that scene, what does he say then? Sephiroth. I underestimated.
Yeah, not Cloud. Yeah,
Not Cloud.
Yeah.
Aerith got Sephiroth. Sephiroth is winning right now. I think he's winning right now. But
He got delayed, admittedly.
it's not that he's been delayed. It's just that a way out has been provided. Through Aerith's actions, and that's in the clear material. We don't know exactly what the plan is with that yet.
Since the original purpose is kind of in the original game, well,
but both material are here. The prayer has been said.
Yeah,
and you'll also notice Sephiroth wanted Aerith to pray because he wants that bit of hope to enter Cloud. Sephiroth's plan right now, I believe, has not changed, but has exponentially grown. And he talks about it in the game, where he is no longer interested in controlling the planet. He is no longer interested in controlling life as he knows it. He is interested in infinity.
Small game shit. All the other
Yeah, that's small game shit. Hey, we tried that. It didn't work. It's also not good enough because now he knows that there are other universes out there.
And just doing one isn't really much impactful. Yeah.
It's not enough for him, right? So how does he do that? Well, energy and power and magic is based off of, in this world, memory and emotion. Sephiroth has chosen to take the path, very light side, dark side Jedi shit, of harnessing emotion into power. What are the strongest emotions somebody can feel? Pain, sorrow, all those things he lists.
Anger being the big one. What he uses to drive Cloud to do his bidding, whether he knows it or not.
Yes.
That's why
he's manipulating Cloud with anger. You're angry at me because I burned down your home. You're angry at me because I killed Aerith, because of all these things. He's manipulating Cloud at every step of the way to give into his emotions so that it makes Sephiroth more powerful. And he wants to now, instead of killing the planet and creating a mass anguish and pain throughout the planet, he wants to do it with the multiverse as a whole.
He wants to conjoin everything into one.
Yes.
Being able to potentially do what he originally wanted to do, which is destroy it, not in the same way.
But just on a way grander scale. You know, have control, have ultimate power over everything.
You know, the black materia, going back to that, it's all about meteor every single time it's brought up. But that's only what we think it, is the only way it could be used. Because then you have to introduce the Gi. The Gi, who are the other players in all of this. The ones who created it and still have goals to get it so they can seek the death that they want.
Yeah.
They're the ones who I think know its true power. The Cetra, they just, realized they made it and tried to stop them from using it due to the destruction that it would bring. But
I don't think you're wrong. But it all kind of I still don't know quite what the Gi's implant or in game here is in this. I think this is a faction that they want to introduce even more into the next game. Alongside, you mentioned it, the scene I don't like, where Glenn is revealed to be Sephiroth. I believe in Glenn's introduction with Rufus goes, I shot you in the back and killed you. Well, how are you here? Well, the simple truth of the matter is, Rufus shot Glenn in the back and killed him. He's dead. That's it. You never see the real Glenn throughout the entire game. Sephiroth is taking over the image of Glenn and the memory of Glenn in order to manipulate a war between Midgar and Wu-Tai. This will be different. And what would that cause, Connor? Pain, anguish, remorse, grief, all of these things. So he is manipulating more players than he was in the past. Before, he was only manipulating Cloud and using Cloud to get him the black materia so that he could do what he needs to do. But now he's expanded his plans. So now he's manipulating Shinra, he's manipulating human beings, he's manipulating Cloud and Party, and Aerith knows about it all.
Which, the other thing that did that, the same exact thing you just said, was Genova, as we found out through the mural room in the
Sephiroth and Genova kind of interchangeable in this plot.
They are, yes. Yeah. In the past, the manipulation was generally on Cloud rather than the world. So it seems like Sephiroth's kind of putting his skills to use. Finally, going to broader horizons.
So returning to the idea of Aerith, the problem is that for the most part, things are exactly the same. The problem is things. What did I just say? Returning to Aerith, for the most part, things are playing out exactly how they did in the original. But who are we dealing with?
Don't know.
Cloud. And we're dealing with Grief and Cloud. And what do we know about Cloud and how he handles grief?
He gets kind of angry.
Does get
He
kind of
lashes
angry.
out.
Sure. Yes. He's also not very good at accepting it, as we saw with Zack. He's not good about accepting the truth and what he was. He lives in denial at all times. Cloud saves Aerith, but again, when we broke free at the end of Remake, we've given Sephiroth the power to hop universes and to change things. We've given him the power of the multiverse. So Cloud saves Aerith, yes. All of this is according to Sephiroth's plan, but because Sephiroth controls the multiverse, none of it matters. None of it matters. He can flip a switch and change it on the fly and have events play out in a different way. I think it's funny that they use when characters make a choice and it branches out and creates a new multiverse, they use the image of rainbows. I think that's pretty smart. So how does light work and color with light work? It works by light entering a prism and then the prism splitting up that light into the different fields of radiation and light that we then perceive as colors.
Mm-hmm.
So choice, so there's destiny and fate, and choice is the prism. So when you shove destiny through the prism of choice, it splits, and you have all these different things. That's the metaphor and the imagery they're going with. That is what I interpret from that.
Yeah, they're really leaving you no other option.
Yeah, like it just kind of makes sense that way, right? It's clever. It's clever use of imagery. So we're using that, and the idea of choice, but giving the ultimate power of choice over to Sephiroth. So you don't really have any choice, anyways. Much like in the original game, where no matter what you do, the ending is the same. You can't save the princess. And again, once again, you can't save the princess. So Aerith is dead. Effectively, she's dead. But you see her all throughout the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the last scene. Cloud has a conversation with her. She seems to be some kind of Force ghost. How can this be? This is where it gets kind of crazy for me. The Aerith you see is not Aerith. Aerith is dead and gone. Her will still exists. Her power still exists. You cannot see her. Sometimes you can feel her presence. She'll come through and she'll heal the team. She'll give us rejuvenation, or in moments of battle, she'll help us out. But she's gone, and like it's just a simple fact of the matter is, how is this? Well, what happens when Cloud is faced with her death? Because he believes he sees her. He has saved her. But Sephiroth has control, so he switches it, and she's gone. It doesn't matter that you saved her. I'm killing her anyway. Well, Cloud can't accept this in his head. In his head, he took action. In his head, he split the universe, and he saved her. She's alive. So he immediately grabs her. He starts weeping and crying, and Sephiroth is mocking him. But what's happening while this is happening? Cloud is getting flashes to the OG timeline, the original game, and he sees himself mouth moving, but they don't voice those lines. What's happening there, Connor?
Well, because in the original game, he's telling him to like shut up, reacting emotionally.
It's the monologue. It's the morning monologue of him accepting Aerith's death. That is what that is. Is they are showing the two different things of this is Cloud in the original timeline. He accepted Aerith's death. He saw it to be true. He saw it happen. But in our timeline, not doing that because he didn't see it happen. So he is rejecting reality. Everybody else on the team sees it. Everybody else on the team reacts like she's dead. Even when they're on the beach, everyone's sad and somber for the rest of the game. They don't talk about Aerith. They don't talk about how she's there. They're crying the whole time. Cloud isn't. And it even goes into gameplay. And I have a theory about gameplay with the black materia here in a minute that I'll get to. It's even in the gameplay where as soon as the final boss fight started, you notice this. What happens? Everybody's got limit breaks. Everybody, except for who?
Cloud. Yeah.
Cloud. Because everybody is enraged and feeling vengeful, so their limits are up. Except for Cloud. Cloud's just fighting because he knows he needs to fight because this is the bad guy and we're going to fight him and we're going to stop him. But we're going to fight him and stop him and then everything's going to be okay. We're going to go back. I'm going to go back and pick up my girlfriend. She's going to be alive.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that in the original game, going back to it, the mocking. Why are you crying? You're my puppet. You can't feel these emotions. Those are ones he doesn't feel in the
feeling them.
When we saw in the timeline we're in.
Yes. And then what happens at the end of the fight when all the fighting is done? We all crowd around Aerith's body again. Cloud goes to grab her. In the original game, this is where he picks her up and takes her to the water, and we have our memorial service in the water.
Yeah.
You know, and there's the iconic shot of her floating in the water. You'll notice that shot doesn't happen in this one because Cloud has chosen to forget it. And what happens when Cloud comes back to her body? What is he surrounded by? Rainbow. He is surrounded by choice. What is Cloud going to choose to do in this moment? He chooses not to believe it. Aerith, wake up. And then she wakes up.
Yeah. He's
tricking himself.
That is possible, but we also have to bring in some skepticism because she, once again, if she is dead, right, and the visage that we're seeing of her is him tricking himself into believing, oh, she's actually alive. There's things going on. While she was there, the other person, going back to him, Red 13, also is aware of that as well.
Yes.
Bringing that element into it, it doesn't even make that set in stone. Just like how it doesn't make it set in stone that she's alive due to the fact that, Cloud's seeing her.
Yes.
It leads kind of what the original game did, which is making you confused as to what's real and what's true and what's not true in regards to Cloud's story.
Yes.
Now doing it once again, just in a different light.
Yes. They are enacting those same feelings we felt when playing the original game.
Yeah.
And they're making us feel them again. You felt it all throughout this game as well.
Yeah.
The tension leading up to that moment. That moment meant a lot. Oh my God, you were fearful of her.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted you being you had a tame reaction. When he blocks that sword, I went, fuck yeah! And then when he switched it and she dies anyway, I went, fuck no. What the fuck? I was angry. And the whole boss fight, I was so conflicted that I couldn't even understand what I was seeing, And I was getting frustrated because it was giving me amazing moments of fan service and then meeting them with dramatically, crestfalling moments of confusion. I didn't understand what was happening. And it took time for me to fully digest it all. Now, you bring up an excellent point where
Red 13.
And there were moments that truly seem like she's alive. So I'm bringing up here on the screen, Connor. This is the final cutscene of the game. I want you to pay close attention here. Let me bring in the audio here. Pay close attention to when Aerith enters the scene. Pay close attention to how she reacts to things, what movements she does. Pay attention to the lines. This might be a little tricky for you because you haven't revisited Remake in a little while. But pay attention to the lines. The lines are very important, and how they're delivered are very important.
I can do that.
Here, I'm gonna bring this in. Let me double check and make sure. Okay, it doesn't seem that
No audio's coming in.
No audio's coming in. Let me fix that real quick.
I can hear it.
You can hear it.
But
they
not
can't.
the,
So let me bring it over.
Damn, and while he's doing that, wasn't the sacrifice of Kate Sith so...
Fuck Kate Sith. I hate him.
I just didn't... I can't believe he's dead.
Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got the audio in. So I'm going to bring this back just a few more seconds here. Pay attention to when Aerith enters the scene.
Well, he comes around from the fuselage.
Uh-huh.
Call it.
Uh-huh. Boom. There she is. What happened just before that, though?
He looked away.
Who?
Cloud looked away.
Not that he looked away. He looked in that direction. He started focusing on that. See? His focus, when the scene starts, is on this materia.
Yeah.
What is this? What does Aerith want me to do with this? I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. My friends start making noise because they're trying to fix the plane, and it sounds like they're doing a whole lot. Hold on, let me bring my focus over here. Look at this shot right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect shot. Where is she?
Well, she's not physically there. So
She's not.
Wouldn't be
not
there in that
physically
scene.
there.
Yeah. It would
Right.
only be from the perception of Cloud. The question is whether the perception of Cloud is realistic in any sense.
Yes.
Um,
So why, when Cloud's focus switches to other people, why
Mhm.
does Aerith need to be there?
because he's trying to, possibly.
Because he's rejecting
Denial,
his
yeah.
reality. But what is inside of Cloud right now?
Well, not the blank materia. Not inside of him.
Genova cells. Giving Sephiroth control. That's not Aerith. That's not Force Ghost Aerith. That's not Multiverse Aerith. That is Genova
Mhm.
fucking with Cloud. In the way that Genova knows how to. Through memory. You know? That's how Sephiroth keeps living, is living on in people's memories. This is a thing that's been established since Advent Children. As long as you know me, I will never be a memory. What he says, and that's from that movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He
That's
said, "I'll never be a
what's
memory."
happening here. Let's watch. The plane is about to explode, right? Or it's about to give off the little dust
Mhm.
or little poof of exhaust, right? Look how she's interacting. She's pretending like she's part of the interaction, but she's not part of the interaction.
Yeah, as you can tell from Sid's next line.
If she was a ghost, why would she be doing that? If this was Aerith, why would she be doing that?
Well, she's a person who's, always been emotive, and she has the connection she has with her friends. It's not so
Sure.
far-fetched to believe that she would be acting that way.
Sure. But if Aerith knew she was dead, and if Cloud knew she was dead, and that this was a Force Ghost, she wouldn't be acting this way. She'd be chilling up there with Cloud, talking to him about how funny and goofy they all are. She doesn't say anything. What did Aerith actually do? Oh, I don't know. Maybe something. Look at Aerith. Keep your eyes locked on her. Nothing about her changes. She doesn't react to the poof because Cloud didn't know it was coming. Nobody knew it was coming. So Genova and Cloud not knowing it was coming, Genova can't make her react in time. She reacts late. Her clothes don't react at all because it was a surprise moment. It caught Genova off guard here. And it keeps going. Look at Aerith, how she moves here. Sure, Aerith does her little, yeah, sure. But that's really more how you remember Aerith, not so much how she would react in that moment.
True, but the other dose is that everything that we've seen after or really during the boss fight, you could say that never happened either, due to it all being Genova as well. And when you open the area that anything can be created by Genova in terms of illusions, you can't really say that anything actually happens. You can kind of use that as a write-off.
The main difference between that and where I think this holds credence is everybody else is acting normal.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is consistent with how they've been the entire game. 70 hours of how these guys talk and interact. Everybody is the same except for Aerith. Aerith is weird. Aerith is awkward. And it shows because when they're chilling at the beach or on the beachfront, I lost my place. When they're chilling on the beachfront where they've just laid her body in there, they don't show you that scene because Cloud, if my theory is true, has rejected that reality. So he went and did it. It's a thing that happened, that exists, but he immediately chooses to forget it, much like how he chooses to forget Zack and how Zack dies and the burning of his village and all those things. So what happens in that scene? I wish I had it pulled up, but I don't.
The scene being
what happens in that scene on the beachfront after they've laid Aerith's body to rest, right? Everybody's sad. Cloud's kind of just chilling because he doesn't know why we're here. He just sat down. And that's all he knows. He gets a Sephiroth headache. that of the flashing of the screen. It's a green flash. There's a difference between like it's a subtle difference between when the multiverse is showing him images of other realities and when Sephiroth is fucking with his head. And the difference is real subtle when it's other realities flashing in his brain because things are going wrong in the multiverse. It's gray.
Mm-hmm.
When Sephiroth does it, it's green. And that's what happens there. A flash of green, memories of her dying, him choosing to reject that and looking to his left. And what does he see?
Aerith as well.
Aerith as well. And she goes, "Oh, I'll set you off." And that line's important too. It's all important because they all play out exactly the same way. Very important. Cut back to this scene. We're about to hit the hard part of this theory, and the part that makes it struggle. And I can't really. I have an idea of how to explain this, but I don't have a full thing. And it's this bit right here, the point you're bringing up with Red 13.
Who had the most connection to her outside of, Cloud?
Yes.
He had.
Yes, the most personal connection.
Yes.
And in the moments of Super Saiyan-isms, we'll talk, near the end of Remake, he was also treading towards that same level of comprehension of what's going. But Rebirth takes painstaking amount of attention to say that is no longer the case with these characters. Red 13 does not see the future anymore. He does not remember the future anymore. He doesn't know what the future has to hold. Aerith is the same way until specific moments where Ultimate or Aerith takes control. It happens in the Temple of the Ancients when we confront Sephiroth. So this is just regular ass Red 13. Same from the original game. There is a detail, and it's possible you didn't see it in our last playthrough. Remember, you can watch our review of the original Final Fantasy VII up live on the channel right now for our Two Penny Game Club series. There'll probably be a link in the description. When the party, after this point, spoilers for the original game, after this point, they get to the Northern Crater, they fight a form of Genova, they get the black materia back, and then they get to the point to where, hey, Sephiroth's up there. Hey, we should be careful. Let's not. He wants the black materia. Let's give it to somebody to stay back so that he doesn't get it, right? You have two options in that scene to pick who you're going to give it to. Barret and Red 13. One of those options is canon because it has to be.
Yeah. Red 13.
Red 13. And what happens immediately after that?
He gives it right to Cloud.
He gives it to Red 13.
Yeah.
Cloud and company run ahead to go battle Shinra, Sephiroth, whatever. And then Sephiroth comes back and manipulates Red 13 into giving him the black materia again. So that version of Sephiroth can give it to Cloud so that he can give it to actual Sephiroth's body. Right? That's how those events play out.
Yeah.
So, knowing Genova is capable of manipulating Red 13, Genova is doing the same thing here that it does in the original game, where it makes. And how does Genova do it in the original game? By pretending to be one of his friends. Same thing here. Genova is giving off the presence of Aerith to Red 13, so Red 13 thinks he's perceiving Aerith's energy, but in truth, this is Genova.
Could definitely be the case, though.
That is the loosest ground I have to stand on, and is that moment right there.
I mean, it definitely makes sense. But the other thing is that going back to Red 13, he's connected to the light.
This is when Cloud is watching.
Yeah,
she's acting this way when Cloud is watching.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he looks away, she moves.
Because admittedly, though, no one else can see him. So it makes
her except for him.
It also makes sense that that's the only time we can also perceive him because he's the only one that's seeing her. If it's not from his perspective, she's not there.
Yes. But in Remake Trilogy, the players are just as much of a character in this game as the actual character.
Yeah.
They go to painstaking lengths to show this. In the original game, you are Cloud. In Remake, you are you.
Mm-hmm.
In a very meta way.
They've been on their meta game since Remake.
Yeah. They from the jump, they know what you know, and they know how to manipulate you with that information.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think they're doing here. I think Jenova is manipulating Cloud to make the transfer of the black materia to Sephiroth even easier. So here we go. Takes that, pulls it out, and then boom, Sephiroth is back in control.
Mm-hmm. But then once again, it seems like his control over Cloud isn't with Aerith, but with the black materia. It seems like that's the method where he's trying to influence control over Cloud, because going back to the encounter with Aerith and Cloud in the boss fight, him, as you pointed out, saying he underestimated Aerith, potentially.
But Connor, in the original game, Cloud accepts Aerith's death.
Yeah.
So now, Aerith is alive in Cloud's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Which gives, but it's Sephiroth pretending to be Aerith, or it's Jenova pretending to be Aerith, right?
Mm-hmm.
I pointed out her little yippee thing. It's a weird thing to do in that moment. It's a little strange with how grounded these characters have been written, and they're still very grounded in this scene, except for Aerith and Cloud. The yippee doesn't feel so much as a genuine reaction as it is a recycled animation.
Mm-hmm.
Because what can Jenova do? Operate off of your memories. That they explain this in the Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah.
Jenova will, when the soldiers and the Cetra were fighting Jenova and failing, it's because Jenova would make the dead rise and would manipulate you and would turn their own people against each other. It's the same shit. It's doing it again. It's just doing it to Cloud because it knows it can. So he takes the black. That's a very cool effect. I like.
Yeah,
that
it was.
effect.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, but it's cool.
It's the black materia. It works on different.
Yeah, sure. I also have a theory. They like to combine narrative and gameplay as much as they can without one getting too much in the way of the other. But a great example of that is the limit breaks in the final boss. I have a theory. Because Cloud is hiding the black materia, there will forever be a blacked out spot in Cloud's loadout next game, because he's secretly hiding the black materia, and they're not gonna draw attention to it. They're not gonna mention it. They're not gonna explain it. It's just one of Cloud's core materia cores will just look corrupted. It's just black in some ways, or shadowed out in some way. You just can't use it, and the whole time you're gonna be like, "Why the fuck can't I?" And then he gives the materia over. We go and we restore Cloud. He's going to have full power, and his cores will be restored. I think Cloud is going to intentionally be handicapping himself in the next game until he gives that black materia over. Just a fun little thing.
Yeah.
So we're moving on.
Sees what Aerith had seen.
Yeah.
Which, once again, kind of brings into the fact of why would Jenova, if he's really manipulating, if it's really manipulating everything, make him see this as well.
Because Aerith pointed it out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Real Aerith pointed it out to him. Right? So he ties it as a thing to Aerith. This is a truth that Aerith laid on me. And now that Sephiroth is doing what he's doing, now Cloud is perceiving that the world is ending. Maybe the world really is ending. Maybe it isn't. I don't know if it matters yet. That's a third game thing. So, if we look at this, I've got some JPEGs here, some screen captures. Here it is of the exact scene we were just looking at with the tear across the sky, right? Very interesting, right? And only Cloud can see it. That's interesting. So maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know, and this was pointed out all over the internet, this scene, Connor, you'll remember from the original game, is the scene inside Cloud's mind when Tifa and Cloud have fallen into the live stream.
Yep.
It's inside Cloud's mind, and we're piecing it together. Do you notice anything about this scene here, Connor, that maybe looks a little familiar?
Thing in the back right foreground.
You're right. In the back right photograph. What is that, Connor?
Hair.
That's the tear.
But that also looks similar to the in-between space, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. The 7 seconds before the end space. It's the same kind of thing. So, I guess we can look it up now.
Yeah, let me.
I don't know what you would
The
type
Edge
in.
of Creation is what.
Edge of Creation. Okay.
Edge of Creation. I don't think we see anything like that there. Yeah, see? That's different.
But it certainly looks like
That looks more
like this. It looks like a source of that rather than the exact same thing. I mean, it's the exact same color scheme.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong, Connor. And that's a decent point. This looks to me more like multiverse coloring. Because look at it, look at it's bright white with different pinks and oranges and greens and blues, and this is just mostly orange.
Well, I think those are the exact same thing. I think the edge of creation, if it's being creation, is the beginning of all of those
This
things.
is this is the beginning,
Mhm.
Connor. This is creation happening in front of you. This is the end. This is the tear in reality, right? Or at least what Cloud perceives it to be, right? I think there's a difference between this and this.
Yeah.
But I do think this very much from the original game looks like this. So I think this is a tear in Cloud's mind, Cloud fighting to desperately regain control of himself, right? This is how we get fun-loving, goofy-ass Cloud who grew up in Nibelheim, right? I think this is visual evidence of Genova manipulation. Maybe.
Everything has a maybe at the end of it, huh?
We can get to game 3. They can throw it all out the window, and it can be a boring-ass fucking, hey, yeah, 95% of the game is exactly how you remember it, and then at the end we fight Sephiroth and get weird again. Maybe. I think that would be kind of lame, though.
The only other thing I would say on this front is...
But I also think it's kind of lame that 95, just like the first game, 95% is exactly the same until the end. And then we get weird and fight Sephiroth again. If this was just a way for us to fight Sephiroth 3 times instead of once, that's kind of lame.
You got to fight him 3 times. That makes sense. What, do you not want to fight Sephiroth?
No, I want to fight Sephiroth. Let's find better ways to do it instead of doing this weird meta shit where we're fucking with the player's mind.
I guess my last point on that would be the last time we see that tear signaling the end of the universe or that world, it wasn't just visible to, Cloud or any enemies, etc. It's available to everybody.
Yes.
This time,
because that was a universe and a planet where everyone had accepted their fate. They knew everyone knew the world was ending, and they were like, all right, it's ending.
See, that then again pops up another problem. If that's a situation where people are accepting their fate, wouldn't he, being in denial, not see that? Because it's kind of like counterintuitive, like it's countering
because it's not.
ideas.
I don't think because Cloud is not from that universe, so he's able to see it because it's right there in front of everybody. If the end of the world was hanging above your head, Connor, today in real life, you would look up, be like, well, fuck, the world's ending. I guess I'm just going to live my best life for however long I have it, right? That's the idea behind that universe, right? This is to put pressure on Cloud. We got to go. We need to go north right now. Why? In his head, to defeat Sephiroth to stop that from happening. In reality, we got to get little puppet Cloud up north so that we can give physical Sephiroth the actual black materia. And that brings me to another scene. This scene was weird, right? The black materia giving it to Sephiroth scene at the Temple of the Ancients. It was weird. It's strange. There's a conversation about how the black materia isn't real. It's a fake. And then Sephiroth seems to summon a bunch of evil with it. And then there's a weird point. Look in his hand here while Cloud is going.
You got purple magic power.
Purple magic in his hand. Now, the fake materia was in his hand. I think what's happening here is Sephiroth is conjuring the actual black materia. But pay very close attention. I think undeniably the actual black materia is coming into our reality through whatever Sephiroth is doing here. I don't understand the mechanics of it, but clearly that's what's happening, I think. Right? Because what else would it be? And so if we jump ahead here, we're zooming in. Look closely. See that?
Well, remember there was the when you were first getting it in the temple, Aerith points out that it's a fake, that it's not real.
Yes. Right? But I think that's real now. What just happened, Connor? Take a very, very close look.
Seems like Sephiroth imported his power, or Genova's power possibly, into it.
Look at the mechanics of what's happening here. Not so much what Sephiroth is doing, but what he's not doing. And why can't he? Look.
No, that's the thing. He seems he can't get access of it without
can't
Cloud
touch it.
giving it to him.
Yeah.
It's like a
But
condition.
that's also not actually him,
Yeah.
you know?
That's the whole bit why you can't just go physically do
Which
that
is
stuff.
why Cloud has it at the end of the game. Cloud doesn't give it to Sephiroth in 2 minutes from now when he chases Aerith up the thing. He doesn't give it to Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Sephiroth manipulates them into thinking he gives it, but he doesn't. Because Sephiroth can't touch that right now, because that's not really him. That's not really Sephiroth. If you look closely at this scene that I've played you 3 times, the materia falls straight through his hand.
Yeah. Well,
He's not
perception-
dropping it. It's falling through his hand. It's going through his fingers.
Mhm.
It clips through him.
Well, until Cloud hands it to him relatively moments later. Which
But then magically it ends up back in Cloud's pocket.
Later, after a bunch of other things happened in between then and
Yeah,
now.
but we never see Sephiroth give it back to Cloud.
No, we don't.
They're very clear. They're very specific about these 2 to 3 pieces of materia.
Mhm.
They're very specific about showing when it enters each character's hands. So yeah, it does appear like Cloud is giving it to him. It does appear that way. But also Cloud he doesn't drop it into Sephiroth's hands.
He's making
believes-
contact with it.
He believes he sees Sephiroth take it and then drops his hands. What I think is happening is Cloud is pocketing it. Cloud is showing, like, in his head, he's going, yeah, here. But in reality, I think what we're seeing is a lie. And Cloud is pocketing it. And that's why it's in his pocket at the end of the game. That's what I believe. It gets weird, but
Especially with what you don't see. You can't really hardline say this is what happened. when
exactly.
it's, up
But
in the air.
we do know Cloud's got the black materia here. We never showed Sephiroth giving it to him. And holy, empty holy, and black materia, they are very specific about showing you what happens to these pieces. So why suddenly, all of a sudden, is it magically in Cloud's pocket? Because it never left Cloud's possession. That's why. That's the conclusion I'm drawing. Are you following
No, I get it, yeah.
the strings and how I'm tying these things together?
No, I totally get it. I just think it's so open-ended, it's hard to say for certain.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
think
think
it's intentionally hard to understand.
Yeah.
And they want us to be confused and mad and upset and angry, and they want us to feel these things. But then when you look at the actions of what's happening, break it down beat by beat, a lot of this makes sense. You'll notice Tifa doesn't say a fucking word. From the moment Aerith dies, Tifa never talks to Cloud again.
Yeah.
I'm curious if she thinks Cloud killed Aerith. I don't know. It's an idea that I've been playing around with. I don't know if I much believe it, but I do know Tifa is scared of Cloud right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And she also is seeing things that she doesn't understand. When the party runs up, everybody sees dead Aerith in Cloud's hands, switches their attention to Sephiroth and go, I'm gonna kill you! You know, Barrett says that. But the camera zooms in on Tifa, and then we cut to Tifa's perspective. And Tifa is getting flashes of both universes where Aerith is alive and dead. And she's confused. She doesn't know what she's seeing. This is the point I made earlier of Tifa has become a 4th character in this that is important to the story, the overarching story. Tifa has entered a level of knowledge that the other 3 have that she didn't previously have.
You got that live stream injection.
She got that live stream injection. You know, she's seeing some stuff. So now we're talking. Listen to how Cloud's talking. It sounds almost automatic, right?
This is what Aerith said.
This is what. Yeah, she's repeating, or he's repeating things that he believes to be true. It's just enough for him to draw the conclusions to allow Sephiroth to control him. This is Sephiroth speaking through Cloud in these moments, you know. Except Cloud feels the need to speak on these things, like it's a constant battle of control in his mind of who's got it, right? How the fuck does he know that? Because Jenova wants him to know that.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, it's the same way that all the rogue figures constantly go to where Sephiroth is, or remnants of Sephiroth or Genova
That's
or
that's
Crater.
easy, right? That's easy. You can. It doesn't take a lot of thought. But look, Tifa doesn't say anything. She doesn't even really look at Cloud.
Which, obviously, one of the great things of this game is the relationship deepening
Yeah,
comparative to where the original game was at that same time.
yeah.
Which I hope they make the correct decision, which is making that canonical. Something that actually happened in subsequent games.
What do you mean?
You know, because it could just be like, oh, they never went out on a date and had like an intimate moment going forward. Just pretend like
yeah, I think
none of
those
that
moments
at all.
are more for the player base.
Mhm.
So for guys like you and I who had the intimate Tifa scene,
Yeah.
our canon is that they kissed at the top of the Ferris wheel. And adorable. We went, yay!
But as you pointed out, because you've seen the other scenes, I haven't. That's the only time it goes to any degree, to that degree.
Yeah,
with
Aerith
any
and
other
Cloud hold
characters.
hands. That's it. They just hold
Yeah.
some hands. Some feelings are
Which they do in
confessed
the
and
main
they
game
hold.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, it's nothing crazy. That's the one where it's just like, and I recommend you go watch them. They're great.
Oh, I know.
Red 13 does give you more information. This is where I'm pulling that Red 13 no longer sees the future or anything, because he explains it in that scene. He goes, yeah, man, that was crazy what we did at the end of the highway. I was seeing shit that I can't see now. Like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Type stuff. So yeah, Barrett's sitting here and he's saying, "Hey, man, everything's riding on you. You okay? You good?" All these characters are acting how they should act. You know, they're being natural. Their dialogue is natural. And he goes, "Hey, I hope you're good. That's a heavy load to carry." Boom, right here. And then we have the joke line from Sid. Now, that's a funny line,
Yeah.
right? And it plays into the fact that the fucking Tiny Bronco is a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
And that's funny. It's every line here is too intentional. It's too intentionally written. So I think there's a double meaning here. I think it's a double entendre. No heavy loads. We're close to capacity as it is. We're talking about Cloud's mental state with that line as well. Is, hey, whoa, no more weight. Cloud is going to snap. Now, which way is he going to snap?
We know.
We
kinda
know.
Yeah.
You know, but first timers don't.
First timers.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
You almost were there. You could have been there.
I could have been that guy.
Yeah.
I could have been that guy. Now I'm this fucking psychopath.
I don't think anyone who would play Remake would not go and, at least in some form, consume what
hit
other
the
Final
internet,
Fantasy are.
start
Yeah.
consuming things. I mean, they want you to know.
They do.
They re-released Crisis Core, which directly spoils it. They put Advent Children back in theaters. You know, they want you to go out and experience Final Fantasy VII compilation material. They want you to, so that you can be like us. You know what I'm saying? Where you can be theory crafting and doing all these things. But the game still works if this is your first time through this story. They just get really fucking weird at the end, and you know
They get weird anyway. So
You're like,
it
I
doesn't
don't.
really matter.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird fucking story anyway. And even if this was a beat for beat remake exactly the same, which would be boring for guys like us. I mean, it'd be exciting to see expanded scenes and lore and all that, and voice acting. But you know, where's the tension? There isn't one.
Yeah.
They're reinserting the tension for us, right? So it gets weird for the average guy, but for us, it's this whole new level of like figuring things out. Again, I think all of this is conceptually really cool. I think it's just presented very poorly here, and I think it's intentionally done that way so that guys like us can debate all the time. Don't worry about me, I can handle it. Barrett turns around and goes,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?" Like he's like, that's not like a cheerful look. Looks at Tifa. Tifa's losing hope.
She was always the one trying
Tifa
to
doesn't lose
hold
hope.
on to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Tifa's losing hope. And then we have this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and just say this now, because I'm sure you don't remember the heavy details of Remake, Connor. Fuck, we've been at this for an hour.
Yeah.
Every one of these lines are recycled. These are lines Aerith has already said. Take care. I'll see you off. I'll send up smoke. They're not even matching the tone of the scene. That doesn't happen in these remake games. These characters act normal. So they don't. And they don't for a reason.
Even with the prayer comment, I don't recall her ever saying that specifically.
I think Genova is. I think that's Genova speaking directly to Cloud, as opposed to using memories of Aerith to trick Cloud into believing Aerith is alive. So for right now, that's from the last game when Cloud sneaks out and then she meets him in the street anyway. He guides a little bit and he goes, "All right, well, you should go back. And are you going to be okay getting back?" And if I said I wasn't, all right, fine, I'll guide you back. No. Let's keep going.
That's true.
That's that scene. That's from that scene.
But once again, this is Aerith we're talking about. These are all lines that she would be apt to say.
But
especially with
that line doesn't even make sense for what he just said.
Yeah, it does.
And the tone doesn't match. In the original scene from the last game, the tone matched. It was playful. It was jovial. It was stuff like it. Like it matched. It made sense. Here, it doesn't match. It doesn't make sense.
Does it
And
not? Seems like it definitely does match.
Listen to her tone. Like it just doesn't match the scene. It doesn't feel real.
Go back again more, because it does seem like it was from what Cloud was saying.
It's a believable enough response is the thing.
Yeah, I don't see what you're getting at.
It is literally the copy paste from Remake. It's not a line that the actor recorded for this game. Like a line she recorded from the last game. Like it is tonally exactly the same, and because these are two different scenes, they don't match intentionally. And it happens again here in 2 seconds with a line.
No, know what the funny thing is?
Don't worry, it's like a second home. That's from the last game too.
When'd she say that?
I believe it was around the same scene or something. Don't worry, it's like a second home. She says it at some point in Remake, but I don't know the exact scene.
Did you see like audio compared to this audio? Because without that,
but I recognized it from my last playthrough of Remake. I didn't find the exact evidence. I should have, and so you're right. But yeah, like that, but how is the Forgotten Capital a second home?
Because it's her Cetra's, it's the temple of her people.
I think she was talking about Shinra headquarters, where I like they had a conversation of like you're not safe there, and she goes, "Don't worry, it's like a second home,"
Okay.
because she would get taken there all the time.
Yeah,
Sung would come and take her, and they did like take some samples and give her back.
Yeah,
and she goes, "It's like a second home." I'll be fine. In
Get
her
a room
confident
there.
Aerith way.
Could have been it. Yeah.
But how is the Forgotten Capital a second home? She's never been there before. That's not right. And again, the tone is off. It doesn't feel natural. The line from this game coming up. Does that to Sid.
Yeah.
And again, the recycled animation. Hey, this is Aerith, right? Right, this is Aerith, right? Wink. And then we get into the conversation you're talking about. I'll put everything into my prayers. I'll stop the meteor. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. You definitely won't be. If you're watching the podcast, you definitely will not be able to see it.
Which is something else.
So pay attention to this. I will stop Sephiroth. It stops her dead in her tracks. Turns around. Do you promise? You promise you'll go north? Promise you'll go to stop Sephiroth?
Trying to be Bioshocky right now, Tavin?
Yes. This is Would You Kindly.
This is,
and then
the funny thing is, Tavin, out of everything you've said this entire past hour, this is the biggest stretch. Because it's
recycled lines, Connor.
Recycled lines to a degree, but once again, it's like
it's not to a degree. They are copy pasted.
It's Aerith. She's done this. She's done this multiple times.
It wants you to believe it's
point.
Aerith, and now if you look closely, but also
this is like a trait that's already been established.
No, it's not.
Yeah, she's done multiple times.
That's not how Aerith responds to things like I will stop Sephiroth. How does Aerith talk to Cloud? Throughout this entire game, how does she talk to Cloud? She goes, "Yeah, Sephiroth, sure. Hey, let me handle him. He needs to be stopped by a Cetra. Let me handle him. I'll handle Sephiroth. Hey, you need to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Remember who you are. I've been trying to get to the real you, Cloud. She says lines like this constantly. And now I will stop Sephiroth. You promise? That's not Aerith. And it's really hard to tell because of YouTube compression, but I swear to God I saw it in that room. I swear to God, because I was looking very closely.
I didn't know what you're looking at.
There's no way they're going to be able to see it on this video. But if you look real closely in her left eye, there's a glint of red. That's Jenova fooling Cloud into this. It's not, sure, each individual thing that I'm bringing up are stretches, but it's the fact that there's so many things that point to this. And everything, I don't think you can deny, everything about this ending feels so intentional. Like it doesn't feel like Kingdom Hearts bullshit. It's like treading that way, but it doesn't feel like it because Kingdom Hearts, when it's on its bullshit, it feels like, oh, we're just making it up as we're going along.
Yeah.
This 100% feels like we have a plan, we have a story, and we're being intentionally confusing because Cloud is confused.
It does, but it also did that the entire last 2 hours of this game, the entire last hour of Remake. It seems like any single time they've really tried to
but Remake was easier to piece together.
They've done it. What?
But Remake was easier to piece together. If you knew the original game, you knew what was happening.
Well, because that was more, it was about
we started this podcast and you yourself were like, I don't really know what's happening.
Yeah. But at that point, it was really a lot more literal with its metaphor of hey, player, we're changing things.
Yes.
This one has gone away from that, and it's more about the characters themselves rather than
what I think they were doing, Connor, is they were being hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary thing to do. Change a beloved classic.
Yeah.
That's scary. So let's
and then they barely change it.
Let's set the breadcrumbs, and then they barely change it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's set the breadcrumbs with the whispers coming in and out and making you go, I don't remember these fucking things from the original game. And they keep coming into the plot whenever the plot is trying to derail itself from the original. Oh, okay, so they're fate, and they're also the double metaphor of fandom wanting to keep the game the same, and the creators fighting against that, right? That's what that metaphor is. And then, but let's make it pretty obvious. Let's give you lines that will directly tell you what's happening. If you know, you know. If you don't, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So then they gauged reaction. Reaction was a little split. You know, fandom did want a remake of their beloved thing, but people got it. And not only did they get it, they directly nailed it. Oh, shit. They caught everything that we're doing. All right. Let's take it up a notch. What does Hojo say?
He says lots of things.
What was the Hojo line that I told you to take note of? Something along the lines of our ambitions need to grow.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, all right, y'all caught on. A lot of y'all seem on board. Hey guys, we're going to get crazy. But the thing is that because of Cloud's condition, the plot has to force its way there.
Mm-hmm.
Just by how Cloud starts. So, and we knew this going into this game. Well, we still have to go get the Black Materia. We still have to, save Cloud because Cloud's still fucked in the head. So we still have to do these things.
But the way they do it is different.
But the way they do it is different. Promise.
Which,
you promise?
they've already established that, though, alone with the Black Materia being in its possession, being hidden.
That Sephiroth is in control.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we fly off.
Great ending. Really makes you... It's able to do what the first game did, remake, with uncertainty, but still doing it, but being done in a completely different way, where you don't know how the plot is going to progress in the sense of, you can at least, before it, follow the trend of how things are going to go.
Yeah.
This one, not so much.
So, here, I don't know why she says goodbye.
Yeah.
This could blow a hole in my whole thing. It could be just to kind of, because we're also manipulating the player along with Cloud. That's why they put Red 13 there to go. But we're manipulating the player, right? As much as we are manipulating Cloud. So the player needs red herrings.
If it is, it'd also just be the meta thing of bye player.
It could, exactly. It could be that. Here's the thing. those who are dead are not really gone.
Mhm.
Aerith says this in the Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to accept because we can't perceive them. So for us, they're gone, but they return to the live stream, and we will as well.
Mhm.
Right? It's the whole afterlife, those, heaven, all that type of shit,
Yeah.
right? Before she says that, the camera pans out and we see flowers. The exact same flowers that are represented by Aerith. When Zack is lost in the multiverse and he can't find his way home because Sephiroth has already pushed it all back into one again, right?
Mhm.
That's what that, like, we see him do it. I pointed it out. The worlds collide. So Sephiroth allowed all the worlds to split, and now he's put them all back together,
Mhm.
right? Into the perfect equation for him to have the best chance of success, except that Aerith cheated, right? That's what happened. So Zack is then running around, and what guides him in the direction of Cloud? White whispers and yellow flower petals. So the yellow flower is used to represent Aerith. I think this is actual spiritual Aerith that we see here in this moment because no one else is there.
Yeah. But
So she is actually saying goodbye. And listen to her tone. She doesn't sound nearly as cheery as she was a second ago, does she? Even like the way the camera pans to her is different. This whole scene, the camera's pointed at her a little weird, right? She looks a little weird. She looks out of place. This one, she looks fine. The tone matched. It sounded like a line that the actor actually recorded for the scene.
true.
I think that's actual spiritual Aerith, who we do see at the end of the original Final Fantasy VII with her prayer.
Mhm.
Remember? That's her. I think that's and I think that's her there too. I think she's saying goodbye and she's worried because she has put everything on Cloud. She has given him his best chance to catch on earlier so that we can get a better ending. It all rides on where we go from here next. All of this could be bullshit. It could just be 95% the same again, just to get some weird fan service shit at the end that doesn't make any sense and fight Sephiroth for a third time. But if we put all of these pieces together, it lines up with character motivation. It all kind of like just fits together a little nicer than, I don't know, some weird Kingdom Hearts bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So this is where I'm at. Is for the most part, whenever Cloud sees Aerith, it's Jenova manipulating him, and it's why, like, if this were Force Ghost Aerith, why would she go back to the front capital? Why would she not be like, hey, go dive into the fucking lake and go get holy, you idiot? Because you need it. Why would she not put them on their journey in a correct way? Instead, what does she do? She separates from them. What, to go pray at the temple? What is that going to achieve?
Right.
You're a Force Ghost. What are you going to do?
Well, that's if she's not actually dead or gone. She's in some other fucking state of existence. It's really...
I mean, maybe, but
really meta
we also see
meta.
Sephiroth running around to other universes and killing all the other Aeriths. I mean, we don't directly see it, but, there's that scene in the church.
Yeah, it's implied.
It's implied that Sephiroth is going around killing Aeriths. And he found her. And he got her. Aerith is gone. That you even said it. In that scene, you were like, this is where she dies.
Mm-hmm.
You were right.
But
That is where she dies.
We also see her come in later when she comes in and helps fight with Cloud. Which is the only time she directly interacts with Sephiroth. Basically, this entire game.
Yes, I'm curious because that's not at the edge of creation. The scene starts at the edge of creation, and then when Aerith enters the scene, it goes all white, which would lead you to believe that we're in the space in between multiverses or whatever. I think we're in the space where in Cloud's head is where I think we are. And I think that is the will of Sephiroth and the will of Aerith battling it out.
But in the fight itself, it's back at the edge of creation.
No, you're in white. When you're Cloud and Zack fighting Sephiroth, you're at the edge of creation. But when you're Aerith and Cloud, when you're Aerith and Cloud, you're fighting Sephiroth in white. I don't know. They get real loose with the white imagery too. The white imagery is used for like 3 or 4 different things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You can just go, oh, we're doing multiverse shit. Everything means nothing. They can do whatever they want. Yada yada yada. But I think they're being so intentional that there's just enough here to build something. But again, my problem with it is they are also doing it so poorly, in my opinion, intentionally poorly. They know it's bad. They, Nomura, or no, the game director, I forget his name. Katase?
Yeah, I think so, actually, yeah.
Came out and said, woof. Yeah, we were real nervous about the first game's ending. This one, yeah, we don't think people are going to like it. Well, if you're a creator, why would you do that if you don't have a plan?
Hamaguchi. Yeah.
If you're a creator and you know where this story is going and you know that you want to change some shit, what do? Do this. But if you're just giving us remake, you would not do this. You know what I mean? Or if you were just giving a traditional remake is what I mean.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do this. You would leave us in a better feeling spot.
Mm-hmm.
They want us to doubt them. Maybe because they doubt themselves. Maybe because they're building to a twist that no one is seeing yet. I mean, like, right? They emptied the clip in this game. All the fan service moments that we thought we were gonna get in the third game, they did in this game. The Zack and Cloud fighting Sephiroth, the big Sephiroth reborn fight, all of that is third game material.
Because they're gonna do something different.
They're gonna do something different. And I would assume everything changes once Cloud regains his identity. I would assume. Hard to tell. I made a lot of guesses and a lot of assumptions, and none of them are right for Rebirth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could very much just be, all right, 95% the same, except for the end, where we bring Zack and Aerith in to fight Sephiroth, and we're being weird about it. I don't know.
That'd be very strange.
Also, the end of Advent Children, they use that white imagery as well.
No.
You know?
Wait, what image?
At the end of Advent Children,
What image?
the white.
Yeah.
The white. Aerith and Zack walk off into the white, right?
Yeah.
And the white is always used.
They use it when he's interacting with Zack as well.
Shit. Remake. When Cloud falls from the Sector 5 plate?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Sector 5 plate. He falls, and it's all white as he's falling. And then there's that image of him sitting down, and it's inside his mind of him fighting himself and the influence of Zack, the influence of Sephiroth, the manipulation of Sephiroth into Zack. And again, I'll remind you, Connor, in the original game, there are many moments, we brought it up in the review, which you can watch on the YouTube channel live now. In the original game, there are moments where the screen goes black and white text appears on the screen, and it's worded as if it's Zack, but it's Sephiroth pretending to be Zack to manipulate Cloud to do his bidding. It's the same shit. Genova has one trick. Genova's just really good at that one trick. Genova's a one-trick pony. Why do you think when we fight Genova, it doesn't show up in any other form than the form we see? Because
That's
Genova
true.
can only do one thing.
Well, it does have its little split parts, doesn't it? Weird little fucking things.
Yeah, but it's always, you know, Genova when you see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like a full Genova, sure.
Yeah. Well, even in Remake, when it was a partial Genova and we fought it for some reason, you know, it was just like a little fucking thing, you know? It was a smaller version, but it was exactly the same, you know? Genova doesn't have a lot of tricks. And
Manipulative.
it knows how to manipulate. And what is Sephiroth's key feature? He's a master manipulator.
And a good swordsman.
And a good
He
swordsman.
cuts the hell
He's
out
very
of things,
powerful.
yeah.
But Genova's also very powerful. You know?
Yeah,
That's why it's a problem. You know? Sephiroth is the best of both worlds. He is human and Genova and a little bit Cetra. Right? It's all combined into one so that he's the tip of the sword and he can lead the fight, but he's still just doing Genova's bidding.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, regardless of how it ends up, Final Fantasy Rebirth just, through the entire journey of the game,
Phenomenal.
did an amazing job.
Phenomenal. The
Very,
game to me climaxes at chapter 12.
Yeah, yeah. I
The
mean,
Golden
it
Saucer
definitely
date?
is pretty great. Once again, I think that only really holds up if it continues off of that with Tifa, rather than just let it go by the wayside and have it
I just don't know how you
have it
do
have
that,
no
'cause
impact.
other players make other choices.
But it's all ending in one.
You're right.
It's going regardless of how the players have agency for a date scene.
Yeah.
In one chapter.
Yeah.
The character arcs of all of them
Lead
with Cloud and
end
Tifa going
in
in.
a certain way. Even in the original game, it's that way, right? We still
Yeah,
end up
it
with
is.
Cloud and Tifa sleeping underneath the high wind, staring up at the stars.
This is just done as they've done with many other elements of Final Fantasy VII in Remake and Rebirth, expounding upon things that already exist.
We're
in a better
starting
way.
and ending in the same place, and then we're giving you some agency in the middle. So
Yeah.
it'll branch out, but it's all coming back. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just think I think they have a point of diversion,
Mhm.
and they just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
They know what point where they're like, oh, this is where we need to change things to make it end the way we want it to end. But we need to do it in this point, and we're not going to get there in game 1 or in game 2.
Mhm.
So, I mean, just imagine game 1 ends and it's exactly the same. Game 2 ends and it's exactly the same. And then game 3, we get weird.
After Northern Crater. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's when we're going to see the major shift in
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 3, whatever
Yeah.
that comes in. Final Fantasy 7.
You got to assume Zach becomes a full-time party member.
Or we see what we kind of thought was going to be in this game, where it's like a separate thing off to the side.
Zach
where
is
he's
also
doing
on
his own stuff.
on an adventure. Maybe he
Yeah.
has a party of his own or something. Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your ending breakdown of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Let us know all your theories down in the comments below. If you think I'm wrong, right, whatever. But, I mean, the evidence is all there.
It is all there, but can you put it together correctly? Well, maybe it's not all there. Maybe they did a horrible
what
job.
Do you got? What do you got, Connor?
I just
All you've done is shrugged at me for an hour and a half.
Exactly. Because I got, yay. I said, let me sit on it. You were like, no, we're going to do it right after. This is what you get.
Well, Connor,
Tomato,
I can't
tomato.
record for another 4 days. So,
Whose fault is that?
thank you so much for watching and listening. Until next time, have a great time. Like, subscribe, all that shit. Go watch our Final Fantasy VII
shit.
review. We love that game, and we love Final Fantasy VII. So, until next time, have a great time. Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye. Which camera?